Pause, pivot. Conversations are pause, pivot. Conversations are pause, pivot. No more change, no more holding us back. Answering my purpose, embracing life lost and all. Today's a new day, let the old pass away. No more limits, only stay. Pause, pivot. Conversations are pause, pivot. Conversations are
Well, hello, beautiful people, and welcome to season 3 of What's in Your Cup Conversations. I am, of course, your host, Consuela Nicole, and I am excited to be here. I know it has been a long summer, well, a short summer, but long summer, but we are excited to be back. So please make sure you go ahead and share this out, because I tell you, this conversation is going to be life-changing. I know right now we are streaming live on 2 different Facebook pages as well as YouTube. So make sure you are sharing, because I promise you, today's conversation is going to be the answers to someone else's prayer. And you have no idea what everybody is praying for in their prayer closet. At least I know I don't, and I don't have a crystal ball. So go ahead and share that. Thank you guys for joining in. I see you. Thank you. Matter of fact, while you are chiming in, let me know where you are chiming in from while I go ahead and give y'all a quick update, because your girl has been busy, right? We got a few different things going on. I'd have been traveling just about all the states over this summer. As y'all know, your girl right now is in Houston, Texas, right? I had to migrate from the West Coast, but I'm going to always be a California West Coast girl. But right now, Houston is definitely home. So I got a question. Where are all of my Houston hairstylists? Because your girl, my hairstylist, I'm telling you, had me completely spoiled in California. So Gifted Tress out in Rancho Cucamonga, I love you, Shay. I miss you. Where's my Houston stylist at? I don't know right now if I want to go ahead and straighten this out and go ahead and rock my bob, or if I want to lock it up, or if I just want to take the clippers to it. Where are my Houston stylists? Tag your Houston people in this post, and we gonna get it going. I love it. Y'all know what? One of the updates that, you know what? I'm gonna tell you about that later. But y'all want to know where What's in Your Cup conversation is gonna be soon? Where my Florida people at? I know we are approaching October, which is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. We are doing something different for What's in Your Cup conversations. We are going on location to Northern Florida. We are going to be in Jasper, Florida, to be more specific, for the Diamonds and Gems 2nd Annual Breast Cancer Awareness Banquet. If you are in or near Northern Florida, make sure you join us here, right? Take a picture of the flyer, take a screenshot, do all the things, contact the number on the flyer in order to get your tickets, or inbox me. I'll shoot it over to you. But I want to see y'all in the place, because What's in Your Cup conversation, we hitting the road, y'all. How y'all doing in the comments? I see y'all. I see you. I love it. So let me tell y'all, my guest that I have getting ready to come on here in a few moments, before I do that, let me explain to some. I know we have a lot of people here that has been rocking with us since we started. And then we have some new people, right? Yes, it's What's in Your Cup conversations. We may talk what's in the cup, but we're not just talking about what you're sipping on. We are talking about what's in your mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual cup, right? Because think about it. We live in a society that, It praises the beautiful and it shuns the flawed. And we see the glitz and the glams of somebody's story and we see the beginning. But no one or not a lot of people talk about the hills and the valleys and the mountains in between and the things that they had to dump out of their cup and what they had to go through to get to the glitz and the glam. That is what What's in Your Cup conversation is all about. So let me tell you about my guest today. I, first of all, am excited. She is a beautiful soul, physically and spiritually. And every time I've had a chance to check out her pages, her websites, and oh my, we're going to talk about that later. She has always seemed to have spoken her truth, not just the truth. She has always spoken her truth and the truth, and she's always been transparent. What I love about my guest, first and foremost, is that she is a mom, an exceptional mom, and she actually balanced. She figured out a system that works for her to balance her mom life, her entertainment life, because she is an award-winning actress. She is an author. She is a humanitarian. She what else can I say? She is a one-woman show, literally. And I say that because she just finished her one-woman 9 live worlds tour. And part of this tour, I will tell you, she talked about triumph over trauma. Want to know what that is? I can't tell her story like she can tell her story. So we're going to go ahead and bring Miss Vitelle to the stage.
Hi, hello everybody.
How are you?
I am great. I see Houston coming through. Hey, Houston.
Yes, Houston is in the house. I see them. I see people. The Us Three Productions is in the house. They is here. So I am loving it. Miss LaShira, I see you. Those diamonds are showing up. But Vitelle,
Yeah.
you smiling. I appreciate you for taking time out your schedule because, baby, you've been doing it.
Yes, ma'am.
You've been doing it. And you know what? And I do this with all of my guests. First of all, you are the first guest and the opening number of season 3
Oh,
of What's in Your Cup Conversations with me, Consuela Nicole, right?
yeah.
And I know I only gave a snippet of who Vitelle is right now, right? And before I open up any show and thing, before we jump into all the nitty gritty, I want to ask you, how do Vitelle introduce herself first thing in the morning to the woman in the mirror?
To the woman in the mirror.
Uh-huh.
That is a good question. You know, I have made it a habit to wake up every day and make sure that some of the first few words out of my mouth are, today's going to be a great day. I don't know that I've necessarily addressed myself in the mirror, though. So that is something for me to really give some thought to, and I should start doing that. But I just wake up and own the day, and I tell myself, I got this. Like, you know, I gotta keep that energy high. I notice on days when I fail to do that, it doesn't turn out to be the greatest day. And I realize like, I forgot to claim this day that it's a great day. So, you know,
Okay.
Own it.
Okay. So do you see, and I know you, I was like, you're a mom first and foremost, right? And a child of God all day. And you've never denied that. But all the other accolades, being an entertainer and a humanitarian and an author and a life changer, do you see that, or do you tell yourself that every day or throughout the day? Do you remind yourself of this is what you do?
I do have to remind myself, actually. I think imposter syndrome is something that I have struggled with in the past. So there are times still where I have to remind myself, especially if it does happen to be a stressful day and I'm having to put out fires and tackle things. Everything's coming at me left and right. I have to remind myself what I'm capable of and what I've done already to remember what I can do now. So yeah, I do have to remind myself.
Okay. So one of the things I mentioned, you know, that you are, you know, an entertainer of such, right? And having this conversation with me, you would realize I don't like to put people in a box, right? Normally when people say you're an entertainer, it's, oh, so are you a singer? Are you in the music industry? Are you the act? Or, you know, what part of entertainment? But you be
doing it all.
You got octopus arms,
Right.
right? You are everywhere, right? Have you always been in the entertainment world as a whole? Is that something you have always wanted to do?
Yeah, I feel like it's always been in me. Mainly acting's always been the first one, but
Okay.
I've always had the music bug. My mom like had us, me and my sister, singing in a band at one point. You know, we were a whole trio. And so yeah, so I've always, you know, it's naturally been in me to want to do these things. I don't remember ever not wanting to be this and do what I'm doing now when I
Okay.
was younger.
Okay. So one of my biggest questions is I see you smiling now, right? I see you doing all these wonderful things now. I didn't know Vitelle 6 months ago,
Mhm.
right? Now, I may have seen, and look, now that I thought about it, oh, I did see her on the screen there. I did see her on the screen there. But
Right.
Vitelle then wasn't a household name for me.
Right.
However, she is a household name for me now, right?
Right.
Has it always been this way for you?
No, and like even to hear you say that, I'm like, oh, that's an interesting thought. Like I am an household name for you, like in your household. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? That's
Right.
interesting. Because I use that term a lot when I'm talking to my team and we're setting goals and things. You know, things become easier when you're a household name for more
Mhm.
people. And so it's been a struggle to maintain an entertainment career and keep pushing and keep doing this full time and not keep going back to day jobs and running in circles and not going after what God's called me to do because of how difficult it is. So you know, like I said, I do have to remind myself, and even moments like that, even your amazing introduction in the beginning, like all of those things are like, I did do all of those things. I am that person. You know, like you kind of need that reminder.
Right.
Because it gets hard back behind the scenes sometimes. So
It does. And I've done that. You know, people would introduce me at different speaking engagements in different places. I'm like, wow, that's a good bio. Who is, oh, that's mine. Oh,
exactly. Exactly. So
so
it's
I get that.
lovely.
So let me ask you this. I want to pull off some of your other hats, right, for a moment.
Mhm.
Before you became where you are in the entertainment industry, right? You're also a mom, but you also said it was a struggle.
Mhm.
What was that struggle?
I mean, just the balancing, the juggling. Like I heard you mention in your introduction, you know, that I got the system figured out. I'm like, no, I don't. I just be waking up and doing it. I just show up at this point. So, you know,
Okay.
it's still a struggle sometimes, but I think the main thing that's changed from the toughest part of the struggle to now is just that faith and just knowing that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. So even when it does get difficult, it's like, okay, well, this is part of the process, you know, just trusting the process and trusting that I'm where I'm supposed to be and I'm doing what I'm supposed to do regardless. Then it makes that struggle not so struggling.
Okay, so what would be one of the, because I will tell you, I was kind of in my feelings that when I found out that, because you just did a Nine Lives World Tour, right? Which was
Mhm.
freaking amazing. And we're going to talk about it. But I was in my feelings because the day you were in Houston, I was in a speaking engagement in California.
Yeah.
So I didn't make it. And I was like, oh no.
Yes.
But I was looking at the reviews and the highlights and the reels. And first of all, are you going to run it back for 2026?
I don't know. I don't really
Encore?
anything yet because I don't know. Like that was literally the hardest thing that I have ever done in my entire career. The whole time I was like, what am I thinking? Like, what was I thinking the whole time as it was happening? So it was difficult. And we did just do the one day in each city.
Right,
But
right.
I'm sure, I know this is not the end of it. you know, and we'll get more into the book and all of those things whenever you're ready. But, you know, it's going to open up some more doors. And so I'm just ready to just see what's going to happen. I don't want to say too much.
Well, give us a snippet, because what I can say, right, and this is the part that's public, I guess you can say, the 9 Lives Tour was literally a one woman's show.
Yes.
About your life.
Mm-hmm.
So everything that you did on stage was everything?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, so you talked about sex trafficking,
mm-hmm.
domestic violence,
Mm-hmm.
homelessness,
Yep.
abuse,
Mm-hmm.
and some other stuff.
All of it.
And I'm going to just call it other stuff because, baby, it was a lot.
A lot, yes.
This is something you
mm-hmm.
experienced, and it wasn't just something you regurgitated from someone else's life. You lived this without giving everything, because I know we're going to talk about your new baby, right? What was one of those life instances? I want to talk about the domestic violence, if that's okay.
Okay.
Right? Because that is something that, that's something that goes, that's one of those taboo conversations that don't get talked about enough, right? Until it's too late.
Right. Yeah.
Right? What was that like for you, you know, being in the midst of? And then what was that turning point for you to say, enough is enough and I need a change?
I can start, I'm gonna work my way backwards in that question. Because the turning point for me was literally almost 9. That's when, you know, I had to draw the line and choose me and choose my family, and not have my kids in a situation that they could witness their mother unaliving because of this violence. So I was strangled, was the last straw for me, and had that near-death experience where I literally had, no oxygen to breathe because I was being strangled. And so having survived that, it was like, I'm not going back to this anymore. I'm not going back to these types of relationships. I've got to choose me from now on. And so that was the turning point for me. And so was the first part of the question, what was that like during that time of my life?
Right. So because, you know, we hear, right? And I say society, you know, from society, we hear, why don't you just leave? Right.
Right.
Just take a bag and leave, or just grab the kids and go, and don't go back home. Right. That's what society will tell, or still today, tell someone in that situation. But that's not necessarily a reality. Right.
Yeah.
You know, because I would say, me personally, I have not been the victim of, but I have been the support system of someone. So when they were ready and was like, okay, you know, I helped them put plans and, you know, things of that nature. So when that time came, I knew where they needed me to be and all the things. Right. Speaking from that angle of it, talk to the people, you know, so when they say, just pack a bag and leave, what is your response? You know, now that you are in a safe place, right? And you can openly talk. I'm going to assume you can openly talk about it because you just did a whole stage play about it, right? What can you tell us as a whole, right, on that's not the right thing to say? You know, it's not as easy to get out as, you know, society make it seem.
Yeah. So, I mean, everybody's situation is different. For me during that time, and this is throughout multiple relationships that ended up turning violent. Violence is where I draw the line, but that is not to say I wasn't abused prior to it becoming physically violent, because it was a buildup to that point. It was mental and it was spiritual, and it was, isolation, and it isolated me from my friends and family to where you're only depending on this one person, and the mind games and control and things like that. So by the time it got violent for me, because I did witness my mother go through this domestic violence, so that's when it had to get violent for me to get a divorce, for me to walk away completely. And so God knew that. Like I dealt with so much verbal abuse and all of those things for so long, but once it turned physical, then I was out. But it's not always that easy for most people. And I definitely understand that, because I dealt with the mind control and all of those things too. So so I can see why someone would go beyond, like, it's gotten physically violent now and they still stay, because verbal or physical, it's all abuse, and it's all a way of maintaining control. And so it is a lot harder than it sounds, or
Right.
from the outside looking in. Because it starts small, it starts subtle. It's not like you met this person and then they were just this crazy violent person all of a sudden, like,
right, and then jump
charming, and they were all these great wonderful things. Like, they're usually the most charming ones, they're the ones that Jekyll and Hyde, but but that's that's the way it is. It's like you don't anticipate that, so when something does happen that you're like, uh-oh, red flag, but then you're like, oh, well, he's been this great for this long, so that's
the potential show up. Yeah.
And yeah, exactly. You excuse it and you see the potential and you forgive them and you go, and then it just gets worse over time as they see how much they can get away with, because it's what you're allowing. So I think that point stands, whether it is physical or verbal, is that they're seeing how much they can get away with, and then they get worse time. Yeah.
But you know what? There's something you mentioned when you started telling us about your experience that I really feel a lot of people forget when it comes to domestic violence. It's not just physical. Like you mentioned, it's emotional, it's financial, it's spiritual, right? And it's so many other things that happens, or that can happen, because it happens differently for everybody. But there's so many other things besides just the physical side of it, right? Is this a ongoing healing journey for you?
I would say yes, because like you said, I've done this one woman show. I actually started this particular show back in 2020. And prior to that, I wrote a book about it. So I've been telling this story for a long time, and through that process have continued healing. And then it's like, just when I think I'm as healed as I'm going to be, then I do another show, and then I experience something else from someone else in the audience. And it's like, oh, I still need to heal that part. So I feel like, in every area of our lives, when it comes to our experiences and especially our traumas, we're all constantly healing. Like, until we leave this earth, it should be that way. It should be a constant growing and healing, and it's all about growth at the end of the day. So I think that comes with healing.
Absolutely. So let me ask you, in regards to generational mindsets, right? Some people call it generational curses, or passed down from generation to generation. I know you said this is something you've dealt with, and even your mother dealt with parts of domestic violence. What were some of the steps that you have now taken, right, during your healing process to make sure that particular mindset stopped with you,
right,
that does not continue to transpire, to your kids and to the next generation?
Absolutely. That's a great question. And that's really what it's all about for me. At the end of the day, I feel like that's what my life is for, to help with all of these things for the next generation. So for me personally, I had to learn how to vet people. I had to learn how to love myself and not depend on somebody else to love me, or, and to recognize what real love looks like, because at the time I was choosing these wrong relationships, love looked like what I had experienced growing up, which wasn't always the best kind of love. So, understanding healthy love and demonstrating that to myself, and then demanding that from anyone else who I allow in my life. And that's whether it's a relationship or a friend or family or anybody that I communicate with or allow in my life at all, that they have to have this respect, and I set these boundaries and all of those things. So me learning how to do that myself, and then being able to teach my children to do that that's where it stops, and that's where we get better at it. And also being honest with myself and with my kids to say, hey, I did not do this well. This is where I went wrong, and owning that and claiming that responsibility, and not necessarily playing the victim and saying, oh, this person did this and this is why we broke up or whatever. Like making sure that they understood that it's because I chose this person because of who I am and how I am and what I need to fix. And so fixing that openly in front of my kids and making sure that they understand that so that they hopefully don't make the same mistakes.
Okay. So let me ask you this. I need that. As you can see, that's one of my go-to phrases. I'm trying to work on that. Right. Can I ask, how old are your children?
Yes. So I always tell people when they say, how many kids do I have? I say 3 going on 8, because I have 3 kids that I birthed. I have 8 that I love, and they are like my babies because they're my nieces and nephews included. Okay. So they are ranged from 3 to 19. One's about to be 20 in a couple months. Lord,
okay. Oh, Jesus. I'm sorry.
But I know that made me feel old. But yeah, so there are a range of them.
Okay. So the reason I asked that question, right, because you mentioned that you have these hard conversations, right, with your children, conversations that a lot of people shy away from or don't have for whatever reason. What advice can you give out there to a parent right now that's struggling to have these difficult conversations, who can also say, you know what, this is what I tried, because of whatever reason I failed or I didn't go right. I apologize to you, my child. How do you have those conversations? And what advice can you give to someone that is struggling having those conversations?
Well, I would say first, since you asked about the age ranges, start early, like normalize it, just like you teach a child everything else, to tie their shoe and to read and everything, like make it that normal as something that we're learning early. There's going to be different stages depending on their age that you talk to them at different levels, but it should never be like by the time they become teenagers, this is the first time they're ever hearing about this. It should just be added on as they get older. So, there's ways that I've had the conversation with the younger ones that are that's different from the ones the conversations that I've had with the older ones, but it's always been there. So it's nothing new to them by the time they're older. It's just a normal part of communication, and, just as simple as learning how to use a spoon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would you say that falls under, what's this new term, gentle parenting, or no?
No, because I don't think so, because I'm tough. So that just sounds like for me. My kids would not describe me as a gentle parent, but then at the same time, you mention it. So there are some things that I was just talking about this the other day. There are some things that I've done that, like, for example, teenagers. Oh, that's a whole nother beast in itself.
Yes.
So, the teens will do something and you just think like, dang, if I'd have did this, my mama would have knocked my teeth out. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
I have, pulled back a little bit from the not so gentle parenting that I had. But at the same time, there are some things that, there's firm parenting is necessary. Okay. But then there's sometimes that I question, especially when they become teenagers, you're like, did I do that right? Was I tough enough? Was I, should I be tougher? But I think just communication is everything. And teenagers, they all go through something crazy when they turn teenagers.
Right, they do.
Whether you gentle parented or not. But no, I don't feel like just a lot of communication, I don't feel like is gentle parenting, because I also have the firm parenting in there as well. But there are times when I felt like, why am I explaining myself to a child? Like
that part.
Like I'm trying to keep the conversation open and always, like, I never would tell my kids no unless there was a reason for the no, and oftentimes I would help them understand, like, this is why that's a no, because this is unsafe, or this is whatever reason. Right. But if I didn't see any reason for it to be a no, I'd say yes, usually. So, and I would explain that to them. But then there's other times when I'm like, why am I even explaining this? Because I said so. Then you go back to the firm parenting that you had. Because I said so. But I do want them to understand that even in that, I remember explaining to my teenager once, like, so you do realize that I don't have to explain this to you, right? Like I'm explaining this because I'm trying to have open conversation like I did not have when I was your age. And so in doing that is the only reason I'm explaining this to you. But if you're going to go back and forth with me, questioning and arguing about it, then that's when I'm going to have to draw the line and say, you know what, because I said so and I know better than you at this point,
Right.
So, it's a balance. It's definitely
okay.
Parenting is not easy.
Because I know there are a lot of parents, right, that will not apologize to their child for no matter if they was in the wrong or complete whatever, they just will not say that I'm wrong, right? So kudos to you first and foremost for, I can have that conversation with my kids, right? Everybody cannot do that. But speaking of children, right? I know we talked about your 9 Lives tour. You literally just birthed a new baby.
Yes.
We're going to talk about it. Can we talk about it?
Yeah, let's talk about it.
You birthed a new baby. 9 Lives, a walk of faith. What is it? Tell us about it. First of all, that cover is fire.
Shout out to my oldest son, Rashad. He actually is who helped me bring that vision to life right there. I saw it in my mind. I explained it to him and there it is. So yes, the talent definitely runs in the family.
Rashad, is that his name?
Rashad.
Come on, Rashad. Come on through. See, we gonna need to make sure we foster and sow into that talent. But go ahead, tell us about it. What is this?
So this, oh gosh, just seeing it on the screen there is overwhelming. So this is an unexpected child. This was unplanned pregnancy here.
Right. Unplanned.
I mean, that is literally the best way I can explain it because so I mentioned that, the 9 Lives World Tour had been happening since the pandemic. I started it virtually, then we hit the stages with it, and I was doing it on request in different cities. And then when the actual tour hit at the top of the year in January 2025, that's when we set the 9 cities in 6 months. We're going to do these 9 cities. This is where we're going. And that's when I just took this huge leap of faith to, like, God is telling me to go to these cities. I have no idea how I'm going to do it, but I know this is what God's calling us to do. And my team was getting the downloads too. And they would give me so much confirmation and just everything just birthed from there to do the tour itself. So by the time the tour was over, I had no idea what I was going to do next. Like, I don't know what happened next. The tour is over. This has literally consumed the last 6 months of my life, which felt like years because we were doing so much. Like, literally every tour date, we had about a week to prepare, if maybe a bit more. Yeah. So you're talking about a show that would take, like, people plan a year ahead of time for next year's show. And we're like, it's this week, like, so it was completely insane, but in a faith walk kind of way. And so when the tour was over, like, of course, everyone's asking, how was the tour? How was the tour? Like, everybody knows about the tour, even though some of them didn't get tickets, but it's okay. Like, everybody's asking, right? How was the tour? And I just was like, couldn't find the words to tell them because there was so much that I could say about this tour. Like, I literally could write a book about it. And as soon as I had that thought, I was like, no, tell me that was not God. Okay, I'm like I ain't hear that. Like, I was just like, I did not want to write no book. Like, I did not want to try to put all of these experiences into words. But there it was. God was telling me to do that. He kept telling me. Then he used my people on my team to tell me, and everybody kept saying something about writing. But I'm like, oh Lord Jesus, I can't ignore it no more. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna write this book, and I still did not know how. Like, Lord, I ain't got time. I got to get back to work. I got to make the money back that I done spent on this tour. Now you talking about a book. So it was just, the book itself is a walk of faith, but the book talks about what happened on the 9 city tour. So The crazy thing about that is that the show itself is based on my first book, which is this one here. I Am.
We're going to talk about that.
Okay, so that's what the show was based on. And now I'm supposed to write another book about the show that's based on this book. That don't even make no sense. Where they do that at?
Oh, it makes a whole lot of sense when your daddy speak.
Right. So that's what it was. That's what happened. And then on top of that, it's like no sooner than I got the call in, then I felt like God was telling me I gotta get it out on Labor Day. And I was like, at that point, it was like a month left, maybe till Labor Day. I'm like, ain't no way in the world I can write a whole book about all these last 6 months in like less than a month. And then it turns out I got less time than that because I was dealing with so much distractions and putting out fires and stuff. Long story, but I ended up with like maybe a week and a half to really lock myself away and get this thing done, because I was like, you know what, no more distraction. You know how God tell you to do something, it's like everything that can come to distract was happening.
It will, yeah.
And I'm just like, I'm about to have to go into the woods somewhere with this laptop, get this book done. Like,
and you did.
Away. I did. I locked myself away in a room for about a week, from one Sunday to the next Sunday, and got it done. And I, like, when I tell you birthing pains, like physically, my back was killing me, everything, like just being at a computer for that long. And I had one of the desks. Thankfully, I had, shout out to my friend Chris that let me use his office, because it had a table that goes up and down where you can stand.
Oh, the standing desk. Okay.
Yes. And so I was able to stand and sit, and I was standing more than I was sitting. But by the time I got to the end of it, my back, I literally had to tie an ice pack to my neck and type like this, and like looking up at the computer. I had to put the table up high and sit in a chair typing like that. It was horrible. I was like, and I was crying. I'm like, Lord, I ain't gonna make it through this. I can't get this done by Monday.
You sacrificed. You sacrificed. So let me, and I'm gonna say this because this is something you made public. You sacrificed a lot to get this book out by Labor Day, to the point that you intentionally missed your baby's birthday. You celebrated after the fact because you literally locked yourself in to get this done. But your babies understood, and I know they up in age, but I'm gonna still call them babies, right?
Well, the 8-year-old, it was the 8-year-old's birthday,
but she still understood.
Yeah, she 9.
Right?
Yeah.
That is what you call, like, you had, we gonna get this done. God said I need to do it. I'm gonna believe him to do it. And you did it. So I'm gonna put it out there. I got my ebook. And before anybody complain that's listening, I got a physical copy coming. She's working on some stuff.
Yes.
Trust me, it's coming. Because they're gonna be like, why you didn't get a physical copy from her? Because I'm quick to say, don't send me no physical copy that I signed, because I will return it to sender. Yes. So I'm just saying.
Yes, I am in the process of ordering my batch of books, which should be here soon. I will have them physically available to sign and send out to you guys.
So in the meantime, everybody, I need you to go to the website, vitelle.net.com or vitelle.net. Sorry, let me get it right. Vitelle.net. And you can order your copy. It'll have the link over to Amazon. You can get your ebook. Then make sure you sign up for, I know you got the email list on there, but you also offer a text message service as well. Is that on your website as well? I don't remember, and I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
I can tell you guys what it is if you like.
Okay, if you want to put it up there, if not, let them send you email. So when your physical copies are ready, you can send that email blast out, and you can get the addresses and the pay links and all that good stuff. Look, I know who that said. There it is, right there. Don't
The best assistant in the world is on it. Executive assistant. Let me get it right.
Yes, baby. Because let me tell you, your executive assistant is the absolute business. First of all, how do you pronounce her first name?
Nysa.
Nysa is the absolute business. Baby, she has been on it from day one. Her communication was on point. When there was an error in anything, she was like, hey, I need you to fix this. We can't use that. I need you to fix that, right? So I want to verbally and publicly give her kudos, right? And what she's doing for you, to let you know that she got your back. Like, for real, she got your back.
I thank God for her. She's definitely a godsend.
Right. So definitely kudos for that. I know I joined the email list. I didn't do the text message. I'm gonna have to do that when we get off. I got my ebook, but I'm waiting on that drop to say, okay, now purchase your kind copy. Because matter of fact, depending on where you are, I'm coming to get mine in person.
Oh, there you go. And I have to come back to Houston because Houston was very supportive. I got some family there now, so I definitely gotta come back and visit soon.
Yes, right. And like I said at the beginning, I don't know if you heard it because I know you was talking to your folks behind the scenes, right? What's in your cup conversations is about to do some traveling. So we're gonna be on scene for a whole lot of things, right? So I'm wherever Vitelle makes known that she's gonna be at, we're gonna see if we can show up there too for you.
And Florida is where I spend most of my winter because I don't really do winter like that. So I will probably see y'all in Florida.
Well, if you are in Florida, because I will, and that's one of the things I talked about. We are going to be, let's see if I can bring that up right quick. We are going to be in northern Florida, Jasper to be specific, this coming October for the Diamonds and Gems. So if you are in that area, October 18th, definitely come out. We would love to have you. Who knows? Anything.
Vendor tables. I see vendor tables. Y'all still got vendor tables left?
There should be vendor tables. I believe the person is on. I will double check if there's vendor tables available. If so, I will connect the two of you, or I will connect her with your assistant. How about that?
And listen, speaking of my assistant, she just let us know that they found a hairstylist for you.
I see that. Come on, Houston.
They are on it. My team is on it behind the scenes.
I put it out there. I need it because, baby, look, let me tell you. Because I had just I was like, okay. Because I straightened it. I was like, yep, we got all this hair. What am I about to do with it? I'm not about to play. I ain't doing nothing. So I didn't went and put the stuff in it. Yep, shrinkage is real. Let's shrink it up. And if I can't find nobody to do it right now, my son got clippers. We're gonna go and take it off. Don't play, man.
Got you hooked up.
I love it. I will be. She said, "I'm gonna inbox you." Yep. Absolutely. Dr. Johnson is going to be in Florida, so we got a few options. But I will check with Monica Green if there's vendor tables available, and I will connect her with you guys. So if you are in Florida, by all means, join us. Right. So tell us, because when I asked you, what would the title of your life be? Right? You said, I am. And as I researched, I realized I Am was also the title of your first book. You're right. That's even a fire. I like that. I Am. What? Tell us about it. Because I Am is a powerful statement.
Yeah, it is. So I'll tell you this. It is a first of a 4-part series, which that was supposed to be my second book, but then God rearranged a few things. And so I had a different book come out. All goes as planned. Then the part 2 to this will be coming out soon. But it is a memoir and story of my life, but it's written in poetry format. So very easy to read for folks who don't really like to read much. It's an easy flow straight through it kind of book. And it's also meant to be performed. So you see pieces of it performed in the show 9 Lives. And so that's where that came from. And yeah, that's it. It's even a self-help book because I don't know how to just do one thing at a time. So it's a book of poetry, a memoir, and a self-help book. So anyone who may be dealing, so I have notes and references in the back here for anyone who may be dealing with any of the things that I've gone through. So you even have suicide prevention, child abuse hotlines, and dealing with the narcissist personality, all of those things. So yeah.
I have someone that need that book. So I'm going to talk to you after so I can give you you have some of those on hand? I
do have these. Yes. I'm actually on tour right now with these.
That way I can get that taken care of and I can give you the address where to send that one to. Because we definitely need, I'm going to need 2 of them, but I definitely need one to go to somebody else. I am ecstatic for that. one question I like to have, I want to ask,
Mhm.
because right now, if anybody was to look at your page, right, your public social media pages, you are very transparent,
Mhm.
right? You show that the final product looks easy, but you give snippets along the way,
Mhm.
right? And you let it be known this is not easy. I'm struggling today. I'm doing, whatever the case may be, because there's a few lives that you did and you was just like, today is not the day. I'm struggling, I'm crying, I'm this, I'm that. What made you what I would call heal out loud or heal publicly, to be that transparent in a society where everyone is judged, part of that, that council culture?
Mhm.
You shouldn't do that. What made
Mhm.
you say, I'm going to do this out loud?
To be honest, I'm going to censor this. I ran out of F's to give. If I gave you the full version of that story, I would describe this little jar full of F's, and I
Okay.
was just giving them all away until I ran out of them, and I had no more to give. But no, honestly, yeah, I say it in a fun way, but that's the truth. Like, I just stopped caring what everybody else thought, and it just got to that point after so long of people who weren't paying my bills and couldn't help me through any of the struggles that I was going through anyway. All those realizations and just that growth in general,
Mhm.
and just learning not to depend on people. Then
Okay.
it's like, what can they do? And at the end of the day, if God is for me, who can be against me? And so also
Amen.
big thing about it is recognizing who's for me and who's got me
Who's
and all
not?
this. So yeah.
And that leads me to the next question, right? In journeys like that, right? In transparency journeys, and who's praying with you and who's praying on you type of situation, there
Mhm.
had to be moments where you had to disconnect from people, right?
Right.
How hard was that, if hard at all? Were
Mhm.
some of those disconnection family members?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's probably the hardest part of the journey to me is disconnecting from people and setting boundaries. That was a huge one because I was very much a people pleaser and cared what people thought too much. And
Hmm.
yeah,
Hmm.
that's eventually that broke to where I don't care at all anymore. um, so yeah, the family definitely is a big one. And
What
so
can you tell the people, and of course, your journey is different from everybody else's, but what advice can you give someone? Because, we hear, well, family is everything. You have to stick with family. But sometimes family is that toxic person that, that's keeping you bound, right? That you do need to break from. What's that one piece of advice that you can give someone that's struggling, you know, with that family bond that they know is holding them back?
um I don't know if I can think of one piece of advice because there's probably a lot of advice that can go with this.
Right.
It is a process, just like any healing process. I feel like that's a healing process in itself. Um,
Hmm.
so you go through stages and phases where you're like, I don't care what nobody thinks, and you try to maintain that for so long, and then you realize you really do, and your heart is, all that stuff. So you go up and down and up and down for a while, and so just allowing yourself grace and forgiving yourself when you do go through the ups and downs of that process, and just recognizing that the fact of the matter is that you're doing it, like you're taking
Hmm.
the necessary steps. You understand that you need to draw boundaries with certain people. You recognize what those toxic traits are and how they're affecting you negatively, and then choosing to say, I'm going to draw the line here. And then if or when you do slip up and fall back, a little bit, or backslide, or whatever you want to call it, then
Right.
you're able to say, you know what, that's okay, because I had to learn how to like let my heart be my heart. Like,
Hmm. Hmm.
you're a very empathetic person and a loving, caring person. You wish sometimes that you could just rip it out of your chest and put it on a shelf and
Right.
not care at all. And so
Yes.
I went through that process of, I don't care, I hate everybody. And then going back and forth because I really don't, you know.
Right.
Then accepting that, you know what, this is the heart that God gave me. And, you know, everything that I model now, I model off of Jesus Christ. I feel like he's the best example for everything. That is everything, the answer to everything.
Absolutely.
And so even in his example, that he empathized with the people, even though
Mhm.
understood, even though he pretty much knew what they were going to say, he knew what they were going to do, he still empathized with them. And so I have that heart of empathy, and I'm good with that now. I'm okay with that now, and still setting boundaries. So just you know, forgiving yourself and not beating yourself up for loving this person or for forgiving this person and allowing them to use you or whatever. You know, we beat ourselves up. We spend too much time beating ourselves up for it. And so just forgiving yourself for that, going through that process, however many times it takes until you eventually get there. And by get there, it's like, how do we know we've actually arrived? Like, yeah,
Mm.
I really don't care. But at the same time, of course, I still have moments where I'm like, oh, I want to do this for this person, even though it's going to affect me negatively. And I have to weigh the options and choose wisely and not just think with my heart, but I can allow my heart to be in some decisions, but I'm thinking logically now too. So just having that balance. So I'm not saying, you know, it's still not always easy to shut people out,
Challenge.
try not to care. Yeah. Yeah. But it's like, it's at some point you can say, you know what, I'm just going to pray for you in that, you know, and just leave it
Right.
at that, like, and that be enough. Like, let
Right.
that be enough in some cases. So, yeah.
So I have two questions before I let you go, right? One question, I guess it's more of a statement, but I do want you to comment on it. One of the first, or one of many videos I saw of you, one really touched my heart the most.
Mhm.
Someone had blessed you with a new pair of black sneakers, and you did a video about it. And you said something, and I'm paraphrasing, something to the fact that you didn't need two pair of black sneakers. So you kept your new pair and you gifted someone in need the
Mhm.
other pair because you didn't need two pairs of black sneakers. You didn't need two pairs of any particular one thing.
How long you been following me?
Why?
I feel like that was
Why? I don't know if that was a recent video, but when I got the message that you was coming on the show, I was like, okay, who is she? Right. So I started looking, but that was the first video that popped up. And I was like, oh my gosh, she did what? And then it had me looking in my closet like, but you got like
you know,
6, 7 pair of black shoes and 13 purples and like all these things. And I'm like, oh my God, did she just really say? And it had me looking at my closet differently.
uh-huh.
What is that like? I mean, why?
That is so funny. I've never been asked that like that. That's hilarious. I mean, I guess it goes back to just the heart. And, you know, like I saw some people in the comments saying they got that kind of heart too. So it's like,
Yeah.
just accept it. You know, that's who I am. Like, that's just who I am. And so not trying to change that for anybody, not trying to, you know, change it or beat myself up for being that way. But if it's not, in a lot of cases, the giving now, it doesn't affect me in a negative way. Like, it didn't hurt me to have one pair of black sneakers, you know. So, but it made me feel it was worth it to give to someone else. So, and so my first ministry was out with the homeless, and I think that's where that
Right.
came from. And so I was actually homeless when I started my homeless organization to help the homeless. So I was out here living in my car myself. And if somebody would give me blankets, I would give the ones that, you know, the overflow. I was still operating in overflow, even being a homeless individual, and then giving that to other people that needed it. So it just made sense to me. And I just think that if everybody did that, we wouldn't live in a country where we've got billionaires and homeless people at the same time.
Because I'm telling you, I did. After I saw that video, I went in my closet. I was like, okay, you ain't touched this in 4 months. You ain't touched this in 6 months. And by the time I finished, I had about 8 bags of clothes. I did. And I gave them to this organization called Business Women Brunching in California.
I love it.
And they go out quarterly to the homeless encampments in Los Angeles, California. And baby, let me tell you, it was a blessing to so I was like, wow,
Mhm.
okay, we need to do this more often.
Exactly. You just get in the habit of it.
Right. So
I'm naturally a minimalist anyways. That I don't know where that came from, but I've just always been like, I don't think anybody in my family has that but me. But yeah, I don't like a lot of stuff. Like if I got too much stuff, I'm like, okay, this is getting overwhelming over here. We need to clean this out and get rid of anything I'm using. So.
I realize I'm getting that way in my older age. And I'm like, yeah, that's too much stuff. Do something with that, right? So last question before I let you go, because you are, and these are my words from my lips to your ears, you are a beautiful person inside and out, spiritually and physically. So thank you for you. And I know you didn't even share your entire testimony. You've shared snippets of your testimony because I really want everyone to go, where it's at, to your website and order their ebook, order their copy of I Am, right? Get on your email list. And then also, I'm going to pull it back up because I know it's here. You're going to go ahead and get on her text message list. I need them to do that, right? Because they need your book. They need your I Am. And Miss Nisa, is that what you said? Nisa? Miss Nisa already put it out there. I don't know if your team has told you. She say the tour is coming back, but we need sponsors. No, she said we need sponsors for the tour to come back.
That's what's going to determine it right there.
We need sponsors for the tour to come back. So we need these sponsors because this tour and your story need to be seen and heard by so many more people, right? And when I say what's in your cup, conversation is going to come to, we're going to figure out something to come out and support you where you are type of deal. We're going to make that happen. But with that being said, my last question for you, because we do live in a society where everybody, praises the beautiful and shuns the flawed and think that, you have to be this beautiful person and you can't have flaws and you can't do this and, all these different things. And everybody want to cancel because they don't know, what it is, or because it didn't happen to them. That's not real, right? Because if people didn't know you, they wouldn't have known that you was unhoused, right? That you went through what you've been through. What does it mean, in your words, to live life with no more limits while being beautifully flawed?
I feel like that just said it all. How do I even rephrase that? I mean, to live life with no limits while being beautifully flawed. I feel like it's just every day that I wake up and breathe. Like, I think it kind of goes back to your other question as far as how did I get to this point where I'm just showing up authentically me. One of the things that helped me in that up and down process was experiencing death in my family. I think when that starts to happen as we get older, especially we start to lose our grandparents and things like that, that's when we really, like, that reality sets in where it's like we all have an end date at some point, and nobody can get in the coffin with me. When it's time for me to go, nobody's going with me. I'm the one that's got to answer for me. So to keep living life worried what everyone else is thinking when they're not going there with me makes no sense anymore. So, just understanding that the only things that's promised to us is to be born and to leave this earth at some point. And so it's what we do with that time in between that matters. And so I just want to show up every day taking advantage of that time in between, because we don't know when it's going to be our last day. And so I just gotta keep showing up authentically me. And we're all flawed. And so if people have a problem with that, then something's wrong with them, because that means they think they're perfect, and that's disturbing. So none of us are perfect.
Right. Well, Vitelle, that is a mouthful, and it is definitely the truth, and it is your truth. And I want to thank you for joining me for the season premiere of What's in Your Cup Conversation Season 3. I am excited. I really, really am. I'm excited to see what's next for you and what you have going on. Yes, I'm going to stay connected. I am. You stuck with me right now, you is. And I will definitely be supporting where you are. Monica Green, I just see your comment. I got a quick question. Do you still have vendor tables open for diamonds and gems? Yes or no? Let's see what she's saying, then I will connect her with your assistant. But I want to thank you for coming on and sharing your story. Keep shining, keep showing up authentically for yourself, because you are definitely changing lives, one video at a time, one live at a time, because someone needs to hear your story, because you are still here, you are still thriving, and you made it out. So I thank you. I love you for life, and I'm not just saying it, but I want you to believe it. Until next time, y'all, make sure y'all share this video, share the website. Make sure you go follow and like Miss Vitelle. Catch her on all social media platforms. If you don't know what it is, go back to her website, because all the links are there. Until next time, y'all, I will catch y'all in the next episode of What's in Your Cup Conversations.
Conversation, yeah.